come when she needs it, and she be willing to believe in and not fail. Not they will come, will not they. I thank the Creator for this good winter day. Thank Him for the food that we eat, the water that we drink, and ask Him to stand all of our people at will and bring blessings to our tribe. Amen.
Okay, roll call. Mr. Jones? Here. Vice Chief Brooks?
Here.
Vernon Crawford? Nick Ketchum?
Here.
Jennifer Brown?
Here.
Nate Young?
Here.
Jennifer Pachota?
Here.
We have four. All present.
Okay. Yes. It's nice to see you in the audience tonight. Welcome to our meeting. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I see people that have been here before. Maybe a couple of them. Does anybody want to come before the council at this time? Would you want to, John?
Sure. Could you introduce yourself, please?
I will try to. I need a name tag so I know who I am. This is the DEA annual report, which Rich Reese has prepared. First two paragraphs, I'm going to skip those because they were things that did not work out. In May, the board looked at several acquisition options, and all of these options required a lot of capital, which we did not have. We looked at, at several financing options, but even with the 90% loan guarantee from EIA, the DEA would still have to supply several $100,000 to cover our 10%. Looked at the possibility of a second loan to cover the down payment, but the financial market tightened and borrowing money became more difficult. The board looked at a much simpler approach to economic development. They looked within themselves and what the tribe was already doing for itself and decided to build a business around that. We're already taking care of the repair and maintenance of the tribal buildings, including the housing program, rental units, taking care of our grounds, mowing, weed eating, trimming, edging. We're also cleaning our own tribal buildings at Katy, Chelsea, and Bartlesville. Wrap these services together under the umbrella of facility management. Expanded the services to include waste management, recycling, pest control. Our goal is to position this business to be able to acquire tribal, commercial, residential, and government clients. Began the process of establishing this new startup business and named it Delaware Facilities Management Solutions. We wanted to set up DFMS as a privately owned limited liability company, but discovered that the tribe had no LLC or corporate codes. Worked to draft the LLC code and presented it to you all, I believe, in August. DFMS officially rolled out October 1st and has now been operating for over 4 months. We hired Jim Creed as Chief Executive Officer, and his expertise in the field of facility management with emphasis on janitorial. And I would say that he has done an excellent job. DFMS LLC currently maintains all the tribe's properties in northeastern Oklahoma and Candy, Kansas. Supplies janitorial services to the Wellness Center, completion for the Delaware Tribal Housing Program in Chelsea. Currently, there are 6 maintenance employees, including a maintenance supervisor, 3 crew members in Chelsea, 3 in Martinsville, and 2 janitors and administrative assistants. DFMS is within weeks of finalizing the buyout of Jan San Pro, a company that contracts with Walgreens stores for facility management services. We have met today and discussed that in detail. We still have some issues, but Jim and Lisa are working on that, and I think we're going to get there. DFMS will be researching more government contract opportunities and grant funding possibilities to further expand our business in the near future. Registrations and applications for SAN, SBA, HubZone, and 8A certification are in the process of being completed and have pending registrations with Grant.Government, USDA Rules Development to begin aggressively applying for grant funding. DFMS submitted a proposal for maintaining the Oongaw Lake on January 22nd, and Jennifer was largely responsible for that work. We're awaiting the results of that bid. Other DFMS projects include document intake. Yeah, I wasn't a no-new grad. I couldn't get in over there. For the Delaware Tribe first, and then a potential contract service for document retention and destruction using equipment already purchased for the tribe's project. Assisting in the bidding process for REACH grant projects in Spruce, Hamilton Homes. Education and certification of maintenance staff at Chelsea and Martinsville, giving maintenance crew members opportunities to obtain more professional certifications in an effort to increase the scope and the quality of the work that DFMS is able to perform. Pesticide certification for maintenance crews is nearing completion. In order to fulfill the tribal housing program, they need more reliability and be more competitive than the past pest control businesses have been. Revising DFMS and Jan San Pro personnel policies to more appropriately fit current needs. Renovation and maintenance of the newly acquired Irene Apartments in Johnstone as contracted with the Housing Authority. DFMS hopes to complete more projects to broaden its range of services, skills, and assets that we can offer by researching grant funding for equipment, expansion, startup costs, renewable energy renovations, and solar panel installation. Strategic planning for DFMS. I met with Jim Gray today, and we're working on that program to get the DEA together and do some strategic planning. The expansion of Jan San Pros. We've entered into the Global Exchange Network for Kroger stores so that DFMS is invited to bid in the future. We'll be securing more of DFMS-owned equipment and employees to increase our profit margin. Board is always looking for good opportunities in business startup and acquisition. We review and assess every proposal presented to the board. Currently looking at an opportunity with an engineering firm and have appointed to begin the due diligence process. As a personal note, I don't think that's going to fly. They haven't had a profit for 3 years. They've got a tremendous backload of liability, and I can't see us being able to operate it any more efficiently than they can. Be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, John. We
All
appreciate
right.
you.
Ms. Dillingham,
Yes, sir, Mr. Young.
did you tell Ms. Kitchen with the score was Saturday? I missed the game.
I didn't hear that.
I have mentioned that score to both Mrs. Kitchen and very quietly to Mr. Kitchen.
I say, point of order, I'm not here for football. Or basketball, I'm not here for that either.
We're not. I don't know about that.
Answer is wrong.
We're already 45 minutes late.
Okay, so
electronic signage, and 11, insurance coverage.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Passed. All in favor?
What did you add, maybe besides the two resolutions?
That was it.
Oh,
She just named them.
oh, I see.
Okay. So, minutes. Or January 7 minutes.
I think that we accept them, unless, you want to insert the main points in Curtis Finnegan's trial manager report.
Two days.
Mark that off.
Okay.
We're trying to cut back on things from last week.
Okay, well,
Let's see if we can, we'll see if we can insert those main points.
I take the minutes during the meeting and then pass them off to the staff to make sure that any grammatical corrections are added or caught. But when Curtis gives his report, he provides his report electronically, and so I think it's a lot easier for the staff member to cut and paste the main points from Curtis's report into the minutes. But instead, this copy just says, insert main points. Good.
are we going to do that or what?
Yes.
What are they?
No, we're not going to do that right now, but we will do that before we
Well,
publish
I
it.
make a motion, we approve these with those inserted, and are we going to table it for next month or what?
No, we can go ahead and approve it. We'll just make sure that that gets in there before we publish them on our website or in our newspaper.
Okay, got it. Unless there's other corrections.
Can I second that one?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Two abstentions. Absent. We just have two abstentions from last absences. Okay, so last month, we didn't approve the December 3rd treasurer's report because the treasurer was absent. And then we also have the January 7th treasurer's report for approval.
I would recommend we put them second to off.
Second.
All those for all.
I don't have the January 7th one, unless the other one has it. Yeah. I think I got one set, but that doesn't mean they're not on my computer. No, you wouldn't have January yet.
It was the financials from January were the November financials, and then the ones we approved today are the December financials. So the November financials that were presented in the January 7th.
Well, I have that. Oh,
That's
that
all.
is November.
Right.
All right, but it doesn't say that on the minutes.
And it says it on the agenda.
Not the minutes, the
The agenda.
so that's supposed to be November 3rd.
Well, no, it's, the meeting date is,
Oh, that was the meeting date.
I agree, though, it should be the agenda should say the November and December financials.
or the meeting dates.
The financials presented as.
Right. Also included was the cash flow activities. We'll do that.
So this is a pretty neat, the cash flow is a pretty neat report that Jean and Janet worked together to give us some information to help us understand an accurate picture of our financials at this moment. Because if you review the December financials, obviously another month has already gone by. So the cash flow tells you what funds you're looking at, what the balance was at the, in this case, at the end of November, what the income was between November and December it shows the expenses and the expenditures and accounts payable for the month
It's through December 31st, so it has,
with the ending balance. And then it shows you in this last column, this is the account payable that we've already committed to, so that you have it, if you take the second to the last column and subtract the last column, that's actually how much money the fund has in it. Sort of. Because I'm not sure that it shows future, I don't think future income or the income that's been generated in January is reflected on here. But we do know how much, we know at least how much money we have. We could have more.
Well, and people may not realize it, but most of our grants, you have to spend the money before you get it back.
Right.
And you have to kind of take your receipts in and go, here, I did this, and then they give us the money back.
So that's on the,
That's what this is.
on the ending balance there for December, some of the balances show negative, and those are grant programs that are, we have to draw down the money after we spend it, and we submit it to the agency to replenish the money in the fund. So they're not actually in the hole. And I've been working with Jean on the budget. If you have a copy of the financials, you see that a lot of the budgets have zeros in the column where there should be numbers, and Jean and I are working on getting some accurate numbers in there for a good financial tool for us to use.
what's that Indian Health Service password?
That's the money that was left over. Oh, it's good. She did that. That's the money that was from the original grant that we had, and the Cherokees they had taken that. They returned that to us last year, and we used that to fund the wellness program. And in addition, there's some extra funds that we're working on some policies for that kind of near our trust funds. Like I think there's eyeglasses and prescription assistance. So we
So this is right,
she asked the same question about that fund. But,
I didn't hear what you said, I didn't hear what you guys were talking
but
about.
that was important to me. She
Oh.
asked about that. Okay.
I remember.
Right.
We did that. And so we're sending some of it on graduates, we've only spent 1,700.
For what?
We've only spent 1,700 this year.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second on the floor.
And for the, do you know the second to it?
You guys need to speak into your microphones.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What we vote on? I'm sorry.
Treasurer, Bill Carey Financial pending audit. Yes, that's a yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Passed. All in favor? Okay, unfinished business. We did not do our holiday schedule. And
Have one?
do you all still have that holiday schedule?
Right, it's record.
Right, that's all I had on taking a holiday for Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Didn't you say that people get a holiday with their birthday? No, we don't get that.
Yeah, I heard that.
She did give us Christmas.
July
She did give us Christmas.
and Christmas Eve or not?
Janet, do you have a copy of the holiday report? Maybe not report, the holiday schedule, the new schedule for this year.
I received what from Chris, so
I sent that.
he didn't put it in my packet either.
Curtis just went that way, he may be going after.
Well, I'll go check with Curtis and see if he can find it.
I made the motion to suspend the agenda so that we can hear from DTFS.
Okay.
Which one is that? The donor. Oh, cool.
start by saying I apologize for missing the last meeting. I had some transportation issues, not excuse for the reason I wasn't here. With that being said, I'd like to just hit some of the high points of what's been going on in domicile, along with some forecasts, and then we'll answer any questions that you have. Our official launch of the domicile will be March 3rd in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the 2013 Reinsurance Symposium. We've been preparing codes, processes, and industry orientation, and an online process for this structure to take place. Next week, Wednesday the 13th, we have insurance industry agents that will be traveling from Missouri and Texas for a meet and greet and an orientation of the domicile. That'll be Wednesday next week, so if any of you guys want to talk to those young men, they'll be
Where
here
is it?
most of the day. They're going to meet me here in Bartlesville, and I'm going to let them talk to whomever wants to talk to them and vice versa. And Caney and sit down in the office and get down to business.
That is 13.
That'll be next Wednesday.
That's the 13th.
Bruce, will you make a note to see if the education conference room is available that morning and book it for us if it is?
I thought it was
February?
Well, we're gonna.
They're actually flying in Tuesday night, so they'll be here. I'll be here at 8 a.m. having coffee with them.
8, let's do 8 to noon. You think you're gonna stay until after lunch or?
Yes, absolutely. They'll be here till the afternoon.
Let's see if we can get it all day, and if not, we'll take what we can get.
Bruce.
13th, February 13th?
Thank you.
The following week, which will be the week of the 25th, we'll be meeting with, again, more insurance agencies and a large actuary firm by the name of Credit Re in Dallas, Texas. I will be taking our marketing firm and Councilwoman Bachoni with us for that orientation. The subject of that orientation will be a little different than the week before. This is actually an insurance actuary that does consulting and risk management for the insurer. He's the kind of the people that create, inform insurance companies here. He's the guy that manages the risk. His name is Gary Fagg. He's hosted in Hurst, Texas, which will be 25th.
You're meeting in Hurst.
Yeah, we're meeting in Texas. Where is her? It's kind of in between.
It's in Mid-Cities,
Mid-City.
with Irving and Fort Worth.
Oh,
Excuse me for letting you. I used to.
you know it better than I. March 3rd, again, we're going to be traveling to Las Vegas to officially launch the domicile. We have press releases that have been in the works for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I just received on my phone the finals, less of testimonials from actual companies that have already formed with us in the first of the year, where they're basically saying, here's what we did, here's how we contacted them, here's how easy it was, here's what the IRS said, here's what our bankers said. So that was just also a press release that will go out to 120 news, different types of industry magazines, if you will, brochures, and we already have 2 meetings with large insurance administrators set up for that as well. We are premier sponsors of that. We'll have a booth there. We plan to roll out some of our online things there, brochures, and we will be there the first day of the conference and have access to the industry there. On March 10th, DTFS will begin the ACSP's registration and licensure reporting, and DTFCS and the Chief's office, and all reports and fees will be due each following month on the 10th of each month. We have set a forecast. We didn't get quite the start that we wanted this year, but when we did some formations last year at the end of the year, if you all remember, and then we kind of found out what we didn't know, and went back and strengthened our process and took a harder look at our codes as we talk to the industry. You guys have made some changes today that kind of legitimize the whole process.
Point of clarification, is it on the 10th of March for this month because that's a Sunday?
That's the Sunday for March, the 10th of March.
Well,
Is it the 11th?
The 11th.
it will, here's what we do is the day before, so
Would it be Friday?
it'd be the Friday the 8th.
Okay. Thank you.
So each month, what's been formed and licensed the previous 2 months will come through each month. And then finally, we've begun our forecasting. It is our belief that we can be at 24 formations a month by May and 60 at the end of 24 months, and that's our goal in our forecast.
24 months
Formations.
formation.
No, 20 formations by May.
Yeah, by May, how many for the year?
And at the end of 24 months, we should be pacing 60 formations. Now that's,
24 months?
yeah.
60 a month.
60 a month, okay.
Right, that's correct.
On month 24, our goal is to hit 60 formations, either small,
After 2
medium.
years, you're
Yes,
gonna have.
correct.
Okay. Okay.
But you're going to have 60 a month at that point, or 60 total?
60 a month.
Okay.
By May, we want to be doing 20, month in, month out. 24 months from this May, it's our goal to be doing 60, month in, month out. And now that's small, medium, and large insurance structures, so various fees, various structures.
If I may comment, I guess one of the small setbacks we've had, to be fair to say, Tim, is that insurance people are very cautious.
Yes, absolutely. He smokes, he drives a black car, how long is he going to live? Here's your risk. So, we've run into a lot of that, which has been good, because at some point, someone's going to raise their head and say, can they do that? Why are they doing that? How are they doing that? So we've kind of laid the groundwork for some of those questions in the future, and it's been a learning curve, and it's kind of a growing pain. I expected to be further along than I am today, but I think it's a good thing that we've approached it this way to slow down.
And the reason I brought that up is we conferred quite a bit on the phone until recently when you ceased calling me.
I thought it was my turn to buy lunch.
The other thing I wish you'd do, if you don't mind, would you introduce Ms. Steely, one of your...
Yes, another member and board of director of Delaware Tribal Financial Services, my wife, Janet Houseberg.
She'll always be Ms. Steely to me.
Okay.
I remember she rode a tricycle, so I'm sorry.
In last year, we formed about 9 and did some redomestication. In January, we put together 3 and are working on about 9 for February, including, it hadn't happened yet, but a large insurance company that will bring not only fees, but legitimacy to the domicile. They're at the level of kind of an Allstate or a State Farm that is actually going to use this domicile. So that will help us in the future so we can say what they've done. So it's not just small insurance companies.
And again, it is a very cautious,
Sure. They're
like
insurance.
dealing with bankers.
Absolutely. Which brings me to another point. I'm glad you brought that up. For these few that we have formed, it is new to the banking industry. They're familiar somewhat with offshore corporations doing things domestically. And of course, domestic corporations opening checking accounts. This week, I want to give kind of a shout out to Curtis's people and your people. Through this process have been very helpful. When the phone rings or someone calls and gets another department, they've been great to say, oh, the insurance guy or Tim, and get them right to me. With that being said, I've received about 6 phone calls from bankers and insurance agents, and so far we've had nothing but good response, where the bankers were just calling to see if what was going on, and they had articles of incorporation of a tribe for the first time, and not a state or a foreign company, and I walked them through the process, and it made sense, and those were the guys from Idaho that are doing the crop formations.
What is, I guess, interesting to me, and I want to end this so I can go home, and I'm pretty want to go home, but is that we have progressed steadily, and we've adapted and tried to meet their needs. Is that correct?
Correct. When we sought out to do this, we looked at a real narrow, specific scope of industry, which is the automobile industry. And what we found out was it's much broader, and going and setting up our structure for them and kind of courting them, we've just bumped into several other industries that are very excited. It's been a process. It's been slow. They don't want it to be fast. They want it to be meticulous. And that's why some of these guys that are coming next week, they just want to come here and see that it is what it is.
We really are.
Yeah, they're stepping on the ground. They meet the chief. They meet you, the architects of this, because no one has ever done this. And no other tribe's ever attempted it.
Tim, like you said, you started with the auto industry. What other industries are you touching on?
Something called a wealth captive that we're going to be talking about in Dallas, and those are life insurance and retirement insurance and tax shelters for the wealthy and for investment corporations. The other industry that has really kind of jumped on us has been the crop industry.
Crop insurance.
Crop.
Big business.
Crop insurance is big business, and what we found, they've been kind of ringing my phone all day today, and some of them are coming down, but they grow wheat and they grow corn, and they're typically red-blooded, square-dancing, gun-toting Americans, and so their only option is to buy crop insurance from the federal government or to go offshore, and they just cringe at the fact of both. Because the government raises their premiums every month, and offshore reminds them of a James Bond movie or a terrorist. So they've all been to a casino. They all know someone who's Indian. They all drive by an Indian tribe. So the process in their head goes, well, wait a minute. Sure, that makes total sense. They have casinos, they have tags, they have smoke shops and such. So that business, as well as some surgeons and some pharmaceutical companies.
It is significant, Tim, in my mind, and I will shut up after this, is the work and the cooperation that you got from the Internal Revenue Service.
Yeah, that's a good point. The first, I received a phone call, I think it was Friday of last week, where I had a banker from Idaho, and he had a client, because there's several steps to this. They need to get licenses and formations from us, and then they get an EIN number, and then they need to go open a bank account so they can actually start work. Where a banker calls me, and I'll start here, and then I'll go back to the IRS, and it says, we're looking at this, and it says, here's an EIN number, and the articles of incorporation have been filed in Kansas. Now, your paperwork says Delaware Tribe of Indians. Explain, I understand Indian tribes, how does that work? I said, well, that's a good question, because I've been talking to the IRS for 6 months, and when someone gets to get online to get an EIN number, there's a section there that says, select the state or territory where you plan to file your articles. And there's a drop down there that says all the states and some of the territories. And so that began a discussion of what they select there, because there's not an Indian tribe, there's not the Delaware Indian tribes there. And so, long story short, they directed us to have our clients select Kansas, because that's the geographic location tied to the jurisdiction of the Delaware Tribe of Indians. And of course, we've had some discussions since then. I plan to ask you guys to pass a resolution in the near future urging the IRS to add us as a drop-down. Now, I don't know if that'll happen or not, because their comment was, well, if I did that for you guys, we'd have to do it for the other 500 tribes. But, they're being cooperative in...
Say India.
Right, they could say Indian country, and I said that, but then again, to them, it's a geographical designation more than anything. And as a side note, I did run into an Indian IRS agent in Oklahoma City who is Delaware. And I believe, I don't have this
Mark
mental
Wilson.
script, Mark Wilson. And, we plan to have an open house and ribbon cutting in April or May, depending on timing and economics, and he's volunteered to come down for that as well.
While Tim is at the podium, I'd like to go ahead and look at resolutions 10 and 11 in case you have any questions about them. As we've been researching the processes of other domiciles, it's a slow process. Even once you decide that you want to form a company under a domicile, the process traditionally has been you get your paperwork mailed to you, you fill out the paperwork and you mail it back, and then we would turn around and mail you the forms or the certificate. So we have done a lot of research about how to make this electronic, and one of the things that we need to do is pass a resolution. That's what 10 is here, is to accept electronic signatures and forms. And I included this paper that I included is actually a service that we could purchase. I don't know that that's the best thing for it, but it shows the laws that have been passed that do provide for the legitimacy of electronic signatures, and it just kind of gives you a little education about electronic signatures.
Yeah, I believe there's a Uniform Act, and that's a service that basically we would send our forms to, and they would make sure that we are complying with the minimum federal standard to bind people electronically and for us to bind them electronically. I mean, there are several ways to skin that cat, but there's a law there that I would like to see us adopt, and it's the national standard. It just basically says there'll be actually a pad where they can sign, and we can bind them, which will allow us to speed the process up for them and us. And it's a paper reduction act. It's kind of our thing is to go green. We're going to eliminate big, heavy books and killing trees, hopefully.
Are we at the point to move for the adoption of 2012?
How about this?
13?
How about 2013? 10.
Oh, it's 2013.
Yeah.
I would move to adopt.
Second?
Second. Oh, you second. I thought you were asking for a second.
I
I
did
did
too.
too. Sorry.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to accept the electronic signatures and forms. Resolution 2013-10. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Passed. All in favor?
One last thing. There's several of you that I don't think has my contact information. As I spoke about press releases and brochures and anything that we're going to be circulating that represents the tribe and the domicile, those are available through the chief's office or to get a hold of me directly or Mr. Seneca.
We also have resolution 2013-11. haven't had any activity to date, but I think we're getting ready to be a little busier. This resolution, as we've gone through, you remember the insurance codes that we passed, they were big, lengthy, and tedious. As we've gone through those, as Tim sat down with the insurance companies and the actuaries, he's noticed not mistakes, but areas that could be worded more appropriately to the tribe. Some of the language was borrowed from other codes, other insurance codes, and those other companies are located in, British colonies, or former British colonies. So there's a lot of old or English words that aren't really. So we. What this is,
Imperials.
right.
Yeah,
So
imperials.
this resolution allows when Tim finds one of those words that got left in, then he can let us know, and the committee can give the approval to change those. This isn't to change the whole process or to change anything, but if it's, for instance, if the crop companies were, if there wasn't provision to ensure the crop companies or to regulate the crop companies within our codes, but there is, isn't it?
Yes.
If something like that came up, a new industry that we could get into, then the committee would have the approval to, or the committee would have the charge to approve that. The committee will report back to the council. Obviously, the council has the final say, but just to expedite this business, the committee's asking, or DTFS is asking for the committee to have that.
For an example, if I may, like she pointed out, the crop code, we have the structure, a 511 company or a 711 company. And then variations of those, you'll start to hear those terms in the future. But it just as simply as when you point to the statute and says if you're going to form a 711 and you have to identify and check the box and show me what type of business and submit the forms that you would use. We don't have necessarily for every structure. So we do have the words that say other, but it would allow me to go in there and say crop insurance. So they could check that box and produce the specimens and the documents they're going to use as they transact business with us and others.
So then.
Subsurface mining.
Yes.
The committee would approve these changes, and they tell us they did it, or do we have to approve them also?
I think that I had worded it that the tribe, that they would report such changes or modifications to the tribal council. So then the tribal council can do whatever they want to do after that.
And we can say, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Right. It would be me
It would
coming.
be waiting for us to.
Right.
That's been one of the problems, these guys are slow enough. I mean, not these guys, the insurance.
I could bring a new structure to that committee, someone that I'm talking to weekly or daily in some cases, and get them in the loop, get them briefed on it, and they bring it to the whole body, and then you guys make a decision then, and it kind of speeds up the transaction.
Motion
How long, like you're talking about, this is going to be happening a lot?
Well, again, we have basically 2 round holes, and we're going to put, several types of insurance structures in those. You're either a 711 or a 5, and I can spend a lot more time talking about those, but it's just a different structure. One, has a whole lot more regulation than the other. One is producer-owned, and one does things for producers. So within those 2 structures, those 2 automobiles, or whatever you want to call them, we've already heard crop, automobile, doctors. Mr. Young pointed out mining. So as we move into those industries, the things that they typically need to carry out business, being a form or them displaying their capacity to meet our regulations, we can set that structure in there.
Okay, well, so the insurance is a code book, is that what it is?
Exactly. We passed the code.
Yeah, okay, and so you're just
there wasn't a blank that said crop. There was a blank that said other. So they needed a form.
So what this does is give the community the ability to add
Just insert
fields so that companies that we hadn't considered can come in without having to go back and redo the code.
Correct.
Is that correct?
And then,
It'll evolve as industries come to us and say, we want to use your structure. We understand how this industry is using it. Sit down and talk to us. We want to use either this form of company or this form of company. We believe it can benefit us this way, but the forms aren't in the code. Well, it'd be as simple as creating that code and that form and that process for them to use those two structures to conduct business. And then, just to point out where I might have left the word queen instead of chief, or tribal council, or.
and I think we're about to get rid of all of those by the end of the week.
Mrs. Queen.
Yes, I'll make that motion that we accept 2013-11. Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Passed. All in favor?
Jennifer, do you want me to talk about the fellow that I met in Caney today, or do you want me to put that in writing?
Why don't you just submit it?
I think you can go ahead and say that. What are you telling us?
Well, many months back, I was working with the DEA board, and we had decided, or they had decided, that they might want to just see what the price of the trailer park was there in Caney. And through several months, kind of playing cat and mouse, it wasn't for sale, and then he called me 2 or 3 weeks ago. I stopped by there today. He basically said he wanted to sell it, but he didn't want to take any less than $150,000.
Originally,
Are we talking
right.
about the trailer park north?
Right. Originally, he said he had contacted the tribe and he said that
South.
it only appraised for $45,000, but he paid $75,000, so that's what he was going to have to get out of it. And Tim went and talked to him and said, yeah, I'm not, I don't think I'm interested in paying something more than the appraised price. And then Lisa called him and said that, the DEA board met, and he decided, we're going to offer you $15,000, and he laughed. Laughed and hung up the phone, and I said, well, that'll posture it for Tim to be able to come in and deal it. No, get it out.
Yeah.
The word is out that the
Yeah,
Delawares are
well,
going
what
to
he
Kansas.
basically said was, I believe that he'd had information that the Delaware tribe was expanding into Kansas. And, they'd had an agent or somebody, looking at various pieces of land, and he said that that's all they would take, and that if I wasn't willing, they'd have that the Delaware tribe probably would, so. I wanted to pass that along to you guys.
He's throwing $115,000 now.
No, it was
It's 150.
He heard that the Delawares were looking for land for a casino in Kansas, so he
So-
thought that he needed to up the price to $150. Because if Tim wasn't going to pay that, we would.
So the cat's kind of out of the bag, so
All
I
right, you
just
can just hold on to it.
Yeah. We can annex it.
There you go. Thank you. If there's no further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Janet Hausberg. Hausberg.
Steely work.
Steely, hard to change it.
Okay, getting back to the agenda, why don't we have the travel manager's report, and then he can pass out those holiday papers for us.
I do have them here. There are nine holidays in the queue. It's basically, although the actual date on the calendar is different from last year, these are the same 9 that we had last year. formal approval for the record.
No, Good Friday.
There's nothing on here for Good Friday or Easter.
Yes, that's what we brought it to the table for, was because last year, the employees wanted that half day off, and so we gave them half day off. We had Good Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bruce wants the Monday after the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl Monday is high on Bruce's list, just so you know.
Today,
I don't think Columbus Day or Martin Luther King Day.
Just so you know.
hallelujah.
Who want to have it?
Do you want to give that half day to the employees?
On Good Friday?
Yes.
Well, certainly half a day will,
Man.
depends on your orientation, but it's a religious day.
March the 31st.
Well, that won't help my kitchen because they only work half days anyway.
Yes, this year Easter is on Sunday, March 31st.
So we can still
So,
eat.
Friday.
Good Friday would be Friday the 29th. And then for your consideration, either a full or half day.
My personal opinion is at least a half day. I always close on Good Friday. It's an important
Like
day
I
of the
said,
year.
my kitchen is not going to help my kitchen any. They only work at 2 and they have to clean up after lunch, so they have to work a regular day. But if you want to give them a whole day, then they don't have to work.
That would mean there would be no meal on Good Friday.
Correct.
That's the day anyway, the day of fasting.
Well, she's saying that her employees wouldn't have any time off.
Right.
Because they would.
I personally would give the entire day.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll give you a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. I don't know whether this is too, let's just add that to the agenda and then approve the whole thing. What do you think? Is that two
I would say
two
that
motions?
the motion would be to approve the holiday schedule with the addition of full
There
day
you
on
go.
Good Friday.
Okay,
That's what she's talking about.
good motion.
Jennifer.
Is that lady getting coffee or what?
Maybe.
If she would come back to the table, we would vote.
I vote yes.
Vote yes.
Okay, motion on the floor to approve the holiday schedule for 2013 with the addition of Easter Friday. Good Friday is March the 29th. So all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Passed, all in favor. So now we have 10 holidays.
Good motion.
Work hard for us,
I
and
mean-
I think what you said.
I will make a report.
I believe most of you were here already when I read my report to the trust board. Everyone got the report. I think probably the issue for discussion at all is simply the relocation of everyone into these buildings here. We have a very, very aggressive and challenging moving schedule, including bringing the housing management and services from Chelsea to Bartlesville, and then moving people out of this building and the Wellness Center building down into the new social services building. The challenge is really in the logistics. We have a good communication, I think, with DFMS, who's going to actually be doing some of the, the physical hard lifting, but it has to be coordinated closely. Bruce Martin and Greg Brown are working together to make sure that everything is set up so that conceivably each of the staff, when their day or time is picked, that they can pick up their computer, their telephones, walk into their new office, plug in, and they should be operational and ready to go.
You've listed community services. Does that include education?
Yes, yes.
I thought
Right.
it did, but I just wanted to
Right.
clarify that.
That function will be moved down. Right. So, again, that's a big challenge, but I believe that we can handle it. We've been planning it for a bit. So, and as you can see, right on the heels of that, we have the kitchen expansion that's going on. We've got a meeting with SGS, Sherry Ratcliffe and others tomorrow, Jan, at 11 a.m.
No, that was one. Now they changed it to 11.
Bruce, would you confirm that? Yeah.
Because I had one on my calendar and then I was told 11, so.
Well, maybe.
Why don't you be working on that while we talk about, again, working with the same people that are building the social services building will now get underway with the contract to do the kitchen demolition. So it's going to be a little crazy around here over the next couple of months, but if we can all put up with the inconvenience, I think some pretty incredible things are going to be happening as far as the look, the feel, and the operations of our tribal government, and the programs and administration that goes on with it are going to be vastly improved. And with this kitchen and the remodeling here in this building, I think it's going to serve our tribal members much better. As you can see, we've tried to be a little bit responsive compared to just 2-3 months ago with building this stage, setting up this area for the council meetings. We've finally got decent microphones, as you can see, so the sound quality is so much better for the audience, and that we had to move the television and all of that over this way, but we will continue to do these kinds of things here to make these meetings run better, and that for the audience's sake, they can follow along with what's going on. Again, I submitted my report to you. Chief and I and Jennifer will be traveling down tomorrow to Tahlequah. We're going to go to Charles Head's funeral service down there, and Mr. Young, I got some information after a conversation that you and I had where you said that Todd Henry will likely be assuming some of the Secretary of State duties in the interim until some other decision is made. Was that correct? Okay.
Hey, you want us to pick you up on the way?
So if you're coming in on Muskogee Turnpike, I live north of town, and what I'll do is my son and my wife works there, Jim is. So my son and I will meet you someplace there, and like at the casino parking lot.
I think things are working out really well with Janet Roth on board, and John Moore will be joining us in 2 weeks as the lead accountant on the accounting staff. We're anxious for him to come down and get started. I mean, he accepted our offer. He's the one that interviewed the best out of the people that responded to our ad, and he's a tribal man. So we're anxious for him to get started. There's a lot of work to be had. I will say Jean Lewis has been putting in a lot more hours than we originally agreed to, because she knows and understands the need right now, and she is, she's putting in that effort. We're appreciative of that. Otherwise, again, I covered some of the other stuff in my report.
Curtis,
Yes, ma'am.
a comment on the cemetery. Follow through, check with Cherokee Nation, because I know that they're helping a lot of small cemeteries that are in this same condition, so you might get some help there.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll make note of that, add that to the list here of things that I go to Cherokee Nation for. We're all stunned about the loss of Charles Head, and while we may go through a few days of the appropriate bereavement time for the family, for the Cherokee Nation, he was our main contact at Cherokee Nation. Probably one of the people there who was the most friendly toward us, I guess. So, for his family and that, I'm truly sad. But, when it comes time to get back to business, we need to know who we're dealing with, what effect it's going to have on our legal and political relations. So, while the jury is out on that, Chief, I'm going to count on you working with Chief Baker to kind of work from the top down and see who we're working with, and that our relationship stays as best as possible. But we're not going to let them stand in our way of moving forward on our direct government-to-government relationship with the United States of America. And certainly, I think this land and trust application is going to support our growth and development and our anxiety about doing things inside the Cherokee Nation. And it'll further support our business development over here too, and the activities that we're doing out of our Caney headquarters, our Kansas headquarters building in Caney. One last item I did have, as part of our agreement with DFMS to capitalize the company with people, equipment, and vehicles, rather than just sign the title over of our vehicles out of the housing program. Instead, after discussion with Lisa Steele, we came to an agreement that in order for them to be able to use these vehicles, it was best to enter into a lease, and we're going into a lease arrangement for the 4 trucks that we have here in this lease agreement, that the DFMS is going to pay a lease in the amount of $1,000 a month. We have a 1-year lease with them, and in exchange for that, the tribe will be providing vehicle insurance coverage, current tags for the vehicle, and then we'll pay for the routine maintenance and cleaning and that sort of thing. But council members, this is under normal course of business. I just need the chief's signature on this lease agreement. I don't know, Chief, if you're going to actually need a motion to approve, since we already approved the DFMS relationship by resolution. This was just one of the documents that we needed to get taken care of here. While you're here tonight, I just need your signature on this. And I stand available to you, council members, if you have any questions.
I would like to say that it's at 1 o'clock tomorrow, the meeting, not 11.
Okay,
Bruce is holding up one finger back there.
1 o'clock.
Okay.
So it can't be in this room because they'll be finishing up lunch. So,
Or probably down in the building.
I thought it was down in the new building.
all right. Wow, we're already using it.
Right.
Terrific.
You're doing the hundred.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask you about, you said that you had a lot of explaining to do about the Cherokee MOA.
We can't hear her.
And ask you when I speak in the microphone. You said that you had a lot of explaining to do about how the Cherokee MOA was working, and may or may not apply some programs and services in the proposal for that 638. Like, have you had some opposition from the Cherokee Nation about that, or? So I thought that the MOA said they don't have any jurisdiction over us in Kansas.
The MOA has nothing to do with jurisdiction in Kansas. I think as we were putting together, constructing the
638, the self-determination contract proposal. Every time we're looking at providing social services to our tribal members, paying it for it with BIA money, he had a question about, well, your memorandum of agreement over here says you're supposed to get Cherokee approval on things. What about that? These are the kind of questions that he's having. And some of the questions I'm just writing down, I think are going to take further discussion and deliberation, probably refer both to the council and to our tribal attorney. But he just doesn't know anything, and this MOA is a real complex.
Okay, you're just walking him through the
Right.
education process.
Right.
Well, is the 638 bill going to be, it doesn't go through the Cherokee Nation anyway.
Well, right now, the only funds that we are getting direct funding on is our aid to tribal government money. And then we're also getting housing money, diabetes. We've got old IHS money still sitting around, but any of the other 638 type programs that the Cherokee Nation offers to its people, they continue to provide directly. With the letter that came out last summer where the BIA told the Cherokee Nation, there's nothing in the agreement and there's nothing in the Self-Determination Act that allows you to hold any funds or disallow a federally recognized tribe from establishing that relationship. So now we're underway with writing a proposal so that we can pull out from under the Cherokee Nation and get that direct funding. The problem with that is, let me just quickly finish. The problem with that is right now is that it looks like we're probably not going to get that direct funding in the pike and sent directly to us until the beginning of the fiscal year 2014, which will be this October 1st. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a proposal that says what we're going to do over a graduated period of time. We're going to make sure that the BIA gets money that Congress allocates for all 638 funding for the tribes, and make sure there's a line item for the Delawares, separate from the Cherokees, and gets into the BIA system by the time October rolls around. So if we have a contract proposal approved by BIA, funding set aside by the Congress for the Delaware tribe, and in the pipeline under control of the under control of the BIA, then we can have that agreement signed and they can start giving us our money directly, and our target's going to be October 1st.
Okay, and Mr. Larson, that's what you're trying, he's the one that's helping you make all that
He's
happen.
the one that's putting the proposal together. He's under detail from BIA headquarters in Washington, D.C. to work with us to prepare that proposal. He'll do the technical construction of it. We'll have to work the politics of it.
Wait, is he, what tribe is he?
He's it's in Wisconsin. Hang on a second, I'll tell you.
He's not a Cherokee, though, that's what.
No. He's actually up in Wisconsin.
Oh.
Le Coeur d'Oreille.
Okay. So with the aid of that letter that the BIA sent the Cherokees, and the fact that 638 is not mentioned in the MOA, that seems like that would be pretty easy for the man to understand.
Curtis had a lengthy conversation with him a couple weeks ago, and then Frank sent an email summarizing your conversation, or asking some questions, and he did not understand anything. So we are going to take another stab at that very soon. The priority on the table has been to get the trust application submitted, and I think next on the list of special projects to complete is to get a foothold on the 638.
And I will say right now, because of the continuing resolution that all tribes are under, and you can blame your congressman for this, but until they get all this, by the way, I'll say congressman and the administration, they're all to blame. But if they would get their budget passed for this next year and quit going on a continuing resolution and eking out money, to the tribes, then Cherokee Nation would have their full complement of funds, and that's the reason we're getting hesitancy to give us money. They're saying, well, we got to get our money from the BIA first, so.
And that might work to our advantage, maybe because the money's still there at the BIA, so when they decide that we're clear to receive it ourselves, then we'll get it ourselves.
This way.
Right.
Go ahead and send it to us.
Cool. We'll pray for that.
Yes.
So Mr. Larson, does he come here, or does he, do you talk to him on the phone?
I'm working completely by phone and email. I've never met the man yet.
I think at a certain point, though, if we can get him to come here and with a near complete proposal and sit down and, if that's possible, but if not, I mean, I'm grateful that it's the BIA paying for all this work.
Yeah. Well, the thing too is, it's kind of like those insurance people want to come and see what we have. See if we're really are real people.
And he's also, Mr. Larson's also a trainer for the 638 proposal, so I recognize his name from the handbook of trainings that were available. And in the trainings, it says you can't go to New Mexico to go to a training, you need to tell the BIA so they can have one closer to your place. So maybe we can even host a training for them.
Curtis, on the facilities that are going to be stationed in Caney, is that financial services, is that the insurance?
Right, that's Tim Hausberg's office.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that we weren't moving all of our financials.
Oh, no.
No. DTFS is Delaware Tribe Financial Services. That's Mr. Hausberg running that program. And I want to make sure everyone understands, those in the audience, that this is a function of government. It's not a business. And if I have to come up with some sort of an analogy, it's like the state of Oklahoma has the Oklahoma Tax Commission. The Oklahoma Tax Commission is the one that issues license plates and registrations and those kinds of things, and they charge a fee. But the people that run the office, it's a tag agency. So it's kind of like a licensed agent doing the work necessary to issue the licenses on behalf of this tribal government and collect the fees. And then the fees that are derived will become an income stream for our tribal government. Anything else, Chief?
I think that's enough.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move to Resolution 2013, number 9, which is Anita.
We're still understanding.
Probably mail through these other two real fast.
DTLMA. Oh, library, okay.
You want to tell folks what this is about?
Well, this is the policy and procedures I have put together along with my board for the library, museum, and archives. And you've all got a copy.
I'll move to approve resolution 2013-09.
I have one change I would like to put, if you don't mind,
In the policy or the resolution?
in the policy, because she has down 2 computers will be furnished. I prefer.
It's marked out.
It's marked out. Okay, so I just thought if they didn't have a number, there we could do whatever we wanted.
Yeah, but it's worked out.
Okay, we're good.
And I'll shut up.
You're all second.
Well, I was also going to mention that Jennifer is going to format this, put it in a... Yes, I can format it. Were you going to format it, Lynn?
No, Chris put this one in.
Oh, right. Jennifer.
Because that's too that table is not
You
here.
can get that from Janet, and Janet has the formatted one already.
Well, okay. Well, it's already formatted.
Right, yeah, but you give Jana the changes that, and
It's in this one. I will, everything's changed in there.
I just
or you give Anita the formatted one, then she can make the changes.
We'll take care of it.
You need to get together. You can
I hope to one day have a big museum.
It's organic.
So it is an organic zone.
Okay, so we stopped in the middle of this road.
But I wanted to say something for the point of discussion, though. I think that one of the board members may have, or the committee members talked to Anita today about some changes that they weren't, or some changes they wanted to make to the policy, and I just, no, one of her committees too. And so I just told Anita that us passing this tonight doesn't make this suddenly stop evolving. This procedure, or this policy is going to also be an organic document that's going to be able to be changed as the museum grows and recognize the needs that we didn't know we have.
That's good.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Pass all in favor. Thank you.
It might be the batteries going to do it.
It's getting worse.
Can you hear it now?
Yeah.
Still going.
Here's the bus.
I'll turn mine off.
No, I think
I turned mine on, and then it still died.
All right, well, we'll come off here.
Which one? It's Chet's. Is that what you're talking
I just turned it on.
Okay, so we have Resolution 2013-07, and this was one that we already poll voted, so we'll just ratify that poll vote.
So you can look for that.
we just need to read the full vote. Yes, just read it in.
It was establishing signature authority on financial accounts.
Well, so the vote was 7-0, and it was conducted on the 23rd of January to establish signature authority on financial accounts controlled by the Delaware Times.
Okay. So the last one is our membership resolution. That's 2013-08.
Move to adopt and ask that they be spread of record without comment.
Can we read that into the posterity?
Spread of record.
That's why I asked if you could.
Well, you know, another poll vote that wasn't ready, it was the one where we voted on
I thought we did that at that special meeting at DEA DEA and.
well, the tribe, there were three things.
I thought we did it at the special meeting.
No, the tribe was both there, but this is different.
I thought we did the DEA and then the council voted after that.
That's the one I was at. Well, I've got some tapes, so we can look at it.
I thought I did.
Because I didn't think that was the full vote.
Wait, that was.
We had to have two votes.
I don't remember that.
Don't vote on this one, and then we turned around and did the private. That's what I recollect, but we'll make sure.
At least I had a copy of that on the
We're transcribing it.
That special meeting.
Yeah, we're in the process of transcribing it. We should have copies to you within a week.
Oh, nice.
Kaylee Michelle Littlefield, Ethan Douglas Brooks, Angela Beth Hammond Brooks, Tristan Dwayne Brooks, Michael Joseph Worth, Christopher Bottom, Briley Marie Mantu, Logan Brooks Rachel Ann Rinsky Crawford, Kiana Tate Uta Long, Donald Jean Renke, Joshua David Holling, Levi Jacob Holling, Lily Marie Holling, Amy Catherine Wilson Marshall, Madison Tipple McCabe, Grace Olivia McCabe, Zachary Ryan McCabe, Nicholas Eugene Arthurson. I want to give my monthly plug. If you have friends or relatives or nieces, nephews, grandchildren that aren't enrolled, please contact our enrollment office. We've tried to make the process a little less cumbersome and have some helpful people down there to assist you in getting your family enrolled. Thanks.
It's already moved. Oh, we did? Oh, I didn't. You need to vote on it.
The motion.
Nate made the motion, Chad seconded.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Passed, all in favor. So, is there any other business to be brought before this council? Well, if there isn't, I want to thank you for coming, and